What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Card Boss Sports Card Podcast, where we talk about cards, investing, finance, as well as business. And recently I got a bunch of questions, right, especially from my Asian viewers. And the question that they have is, how do I actually run my sports card business 100% remote, completely remote, without inventory? Okay, and some of them find it pretty unique and something that maybe feel that it's something that they can try because they have encountered many difficulties in terms of logistics, custom tax, and all this kind of stuff. So this particular video is going to give you guys some insight on how I run my business, and hopefully maybe you guys can take a thing or two out of my playbook here. But first, let me start off by saying that when you want to do a business for sports cards, there's many different ways for you to do it, and there's no right or wrong, whichever way you choose. Of course, there is benefits, pros and cons, obviously, right? So traditionally, you want to do a sports card business, there's always the brick and mortar version. Set up a store, which is great. People know where you are. People can come in, do wax, spend some time there, do breaks. So all those things work very well as well. Some people do online business. They sell on eBay. Okay, they set up the little home office, right? They have some stacks of cards, always around inventory, do listings. As well as they do take cards to send the cards to PSA, process cards in their office, and a little workshop, I would say, that works as well. And I started out with that during the pandemic, but later on, as time went on, my business changed a little bit here and there, and I realized I found kind of like the method that suits me the most, taking into account a lot of the different things that I've seen that's happening within the industry, and what are the areas that I feel that can give me the best advantage to make some money. And that's basically how it works for me. Not necessarily it will work for you, okay, but maybe it's something that you can put some thought into and maybe give you some ideas if you choose to go down this path. Okay, so I have mentioned a couple of times before that my key partner to my business is Finance Collect, and this platform is very important. Okay, now there's plenty of platforms out there, but I'm going to share with you why Finance Collect is important to me. Obviously, they're formerly known as PWCC, where they started the vaulting service. So that's where all my cards are being vaulted or being housed at the moment. So every piece of inventory, or even my personal collection, or even my long-term investments, are all housed in the vault. So every single card that I purchase, everything is all going to the vault in Portland, USA. Okay, and that's pretty important because predominantly, I would say 98% of my customers are all based in the US. I do have some customers from Asia as well, but it's actually low, not because that the number of collectors or buyers in Asia is low, because the logistic cost of having the cards shipped from the US to Asia is pretty expensive. Okay, so therefore the number of customers are not willing to pay the expensive shipping insurance using FedEx from the vault to China or Taiwan, for example. Okay, so that's just unfortunate, but of course I do have some bigger cards that I've sold to China in the span of $8,000 to $10,000, of which they don't mind paying the expensive shipping costs. But because 98% of my customers are all based in the US, so it's a pretty obvious reason to have my vault in the US. And the fact that it's based in Oregon, so that's a state tax-free zone, so there is no sales tax on any purchase from anywhere, okay, be it eBay or any other websites, okay, even Card Hobby as well. If you buy something from Card Hobby to be shipped to the US, they do have some sales tax levied if it's not into states such as Oregon or Delaware, for example. Okay, so having the location in Oregon's the strategic location for me to have where my base, so-called my base of operations, is for my business. Now, what does Finance Collect offer aside from just vaulting? So obviously that's the central hub for where the receiving of all my inventory. So when I buy cards from eBay, from Card Hobby, from anybody else on Facebook or wherever, all gets into the vault, and that's where they will produce high resolution scans for my cards. Okay, so of course all these takes time. Okay, so unlike when you have cards that's being shipped to your home and then you just open the package and it's all great, it's all good to go, you can ready to list, but the processing time or the curation time takes a bit of a couple of days depending on the volume as well, but that's pretty normal. Now, cards that's been graded, okay, if let's say there was cards that's sent to PSA, and PSA with the graded cards is all shipped directly to the vault as well. Previously, it would come back to me, and then I would to Malaysia, and then I'll have it shipped from Malaysia to the US. So that alone as well took some cost, logistic costs, as well as some time being wasted. So towards the middle of 2024, I had everything just shipped directly to the vault. Okay, so that being said, which means that any card that I purchase, raw or graded as well, okay, are being sent directly to Fanatics Collect, which means that there are no cards that's come to me in Malaysia. So what does that mean? That means that number one, there is no expensive shipping expenses, because normally when I buy cards from eBay, definitely the sellers most of the time will come from US. So there's no international shipping costs. There is no customs clearance tax that I need to be worried about, because there's no inventory that's coming into Malaysia. Okay, everything is going straight to the US. By virtue of it being in Portland, Oregon, there is no sales tax as well. So I get to eliminate all this additional fats, okay, fat costs, I would call it. Okay, can avoid all these, and that would definitely increase my profit margin later on. Okay, so aside from vaulting, purchasing, and holding, it's my key selling arm as well. Now, previously in 2024, I did run an eBay store, and I did do a video about this as well, while running an eBay store, and it's doing pretty well, close to about, I believe, $200,000 of revenue, okay, from my eBay store. And what I used to do was I'll put the listings on eBay through buy now or best offer. The card would sell, and I'll use the Fanatics Collect fulfillment service to have it being sent to the customer's location. Shipping costs will all be covered, so which means I would charge the relevant shipping to the customer on eBay, and of course I will pay the same amount of fees, the fulfillment fees, to Fanatics Collect. So there was no, I would say, I don't lose money on shipping with that. But I realized that of course eBay comes with their own set of fees, which was to me was between 14 to 16% depending on the item, as well as being a customer from Malaysia. We do have the additional 1.5% of international fee, which some of you guys in the US don't have. That's why my take back or my net amount works up to be about 84% on items below 2,500, which is a lot. Okay, which is a lot. So starting from middle of 2024, I was working with Fanatics Collect on the dealer program, which they had. I talked about this program many times, and it requires you to hit a certain number of quarterly sales target, I would say, okay, to enjoy a higher payout rate. So the highest tier, being the platinum, okay, requires you to hit $400,000 in gross revenue over the course of 3 months, of which you can enjoy a maximum payout rate of 115% on the hammer price. Okay, so for context, the hammer price would be, example, $100. The buyer would pay the 20% buyer's premium, would pay $120. You would take back $115. Okay, and Fanatics Collect would keep $5 as the commission, and that in percentage works up to be roughly about 4.2%. Okay, and if you work backwards, okay, the payout rate is about 95.8%, under 5%. Okay, compared to what I mentioned eBay earlier, the net payout rate is 84% or 85%, a whole big difference when you're trying to do, let's say, 100K in revenue. Okay, that's a whole 10%. It's easily a lot of money when you accumulate over the course of a period of time. But of course, the downside is when you compare Fanatics Collect and eBay, two different set of marketplaces, huge marketplace for eBay, lots and lots of eyes. Fanatics Collect, a bit narrower, okay, a bit niche. But then again, it comes down to the kind of cards that you're selling. So if your offerings, or if your kind of cards, is catered for the masses, you want to do cards that's between $100 to $200, all sorts of players, raw and graded, these kind of things. eBay would probably be the best avenue for you to move those kind of cards at a higher volume, at a higher velocity, whereas Finance Collect is more niche. You're looking at higher end cards. Above $200 would do better. I would think that the right niche to be on Finance Collect is perhaps above $500, and that will fall under the maximum tier, which means that for every card that you sell, the total price of buyer's premium, you only pay a fee of less than 5%, which is equivalent to PayPal goods and services. Okay, so essentially that's kind of like the best outcome that you can get from this. Okay, but of course the trick is to try to maintain that kind of high sales volume, which is not easy. Okay, $400,000 per quarter in 3 months, which means that's roughly about $130K in 1 month. Okay, I know some small businesses, that's home-based business, don't actually even get to that kind of number in 6 months or even a year. So for me to be running this entire business completely remote, okay, that I have this platform that has a little engine here, that having cards coming into one location, having cards go out through Finance Collect. So for me, one of the key things is I wanted to eliminate a lot of frictions, okay, in my business. I didn't want to spend the time to worry about the logistics of coming to Malaysia, dealing with shipping costs, customs tax, and all those kind of headaches, okay. And I didn't want to deal with a lot with the selling part. When I was working using Finance Collect and eBay, I have to really go to multiple platforms, do multiple listings, also try to promote the listings on eBay, and at the end of the day, you still get payout lesser than Finance Collect. I wanted to eliminate all of that and decided to just solely focus on Finance Collect and using their weekly auctions platform. So which means that on a normal sales cycle process, I will have a bunch of stuff that's good to go, ready to list, okay? Whether is it PSA returns, whether is it graded cards that I've purchased, or whether or not there's cards that I already have on hand that I want to put up for sale in the next coming weekly auction. Just with a few clicks and off they go, and just leave it there, okay? And I focus 100% on just buying, okay? So as I mentioned before in my previous videos, most of my time is spent on sourcing and buying, right? Because I can leave the rest out, okay, of the other aspects of my business to a third party like Finance Collect, okay, I can dedicate my time, my focus, my energy to just find the best deals I can, because once I know that I have an outlet, right, that consistently generates consistent revenue on a weekly basis, and I know how much transaction fees I'll be paying, which is the minimum amount that I want to be paying, and I really eliminate the excess costs in terms of shipping and logistics, I've kind of like thinned down all the excess fats that potentially a normal business person would have, and therefore only focus on things that matter, which is trying to buy inventory at the best price possible and buy a high velocity so that I can meet the sales target on that dealer program. Okay, and that's essentially what I do every single day. Okay, and the best part is because I don't have any inventory to work with, because there's no shipping, I don't need to pack any packages and stuff like that. So therefore, I can basically work anywhere, work remotely. Right now, I'm based in my office here in Malaysia. I can be, sitting by the beach somewhere. I can be in Japan. I can be in Hong Kong. Anywhere in the world, I can still, work on my business. I can still manage my entire operations literally from anywhere, because there is nothing else to be worried about except to be focused on buying and just doing a bit of back end to manage, keeping track of things that's coming in, have a large spreadsheet of the stuff that I buy, just to make sure that whether there's any delays in certain things, managing what the sales price are, collections, okay? So typically how like a back-end business would run, okay, but without the physical efforts of doing some of the things that some normal sports card business would run, such as packing, shipping, going to the post office, for example. So that's basically how I run my business, my complete 100% remote business, sports card business online. Now, is this the best way to do a sports card business? Now, obviously, I think that there are some cons as well. Like ideally, I would like to go and set up at shows. Okay, because I think that networking in shows is it's a pretty good thing. It's a good thing for a business. I've been to a couple of shows and I do enjoy the networking part. But again, without any cards, you can't go to a show with just empty hands. People will kind of will stop, to talk to you if you have a couple of things that you can show them, but I haven't got any cards, right? And I've tried before when I had to really bring cards back from the US, from the vault back to Malaysia in order to bring to a show in Hong Kong, what I did last year. It's expensive. Okay, the logistics is a bit expensive, but I don't know. I was setting up at my first international show for the first time, so it's kind of experiment. Just kind of have to give it a try and then just bite the bullet in terms of cost. I think I spent maybe about $1,200 US to get everything in. Okay, about about 40 plus slabs, valuing a total about maybe 70 to 80k of slabs. Okay, 40 slabs in total. So that I spent about $1,200 to bring it back. And then for stuff that I didn't sell, or for stuff that I traded, or for new stuff, I had to really ship everything back to Finesse Collect, and that itself was some cost as well. So that's one of the downsides of having no inventory on hand. In fact, when I go for some local trade meetups, okay, locally, I haven't got anything to bring and show. Yeah, I'll show up, and people know who I am, but I haven't got anything to trade. Of course, I'll be looking to buy, but a lot of people, they do enjoy the trading aspect, so I haven't got anything to show. So that's one thing, unfortunate as well. But this business model is the way that it works for me. I think that for now, I think it's pretty effective, because again, I still believe that the sourcing part is the most challenging aspect in any sports card business. So having able to dedicate 80% of my time to just sourcing, okay, and I'm doing this full time, not on the side, so I spend a good 6 to 8 hours in a day, just combing through listings, combing through deals, okay. And it doesn't mean that because I spend 6 to 8 hours, I'm going to get more deals than you who just spend an hour, okay. Sometimes the price tolerance is a bit higher for you, and maybe you can willing to purchase or pay a bit more than what I'm willing to purchase, okay. Or maybe you just happen to stumble upon a certain card that I missed out potentially, okay. So it's not necessarily because I spend 6 to 8 hours a day I can get better cards than you, but spending that amount of time gives me the best chance to see the most number of things in order for me to pick up the best deals I can to yield the highest amount of profit for my business. Right, that's it for this one. I hope that answers your question on how I actually manage my 100% online remote sports card business. All right, do like to subscribe, follow this channel for more content about business, investing, cards, and finance. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Till next one, Kabos out.